Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, and I've got a flight out, and I'm not calling anybody. I'm not texting or email anybody. I'm getting push notification. I'm empowered as a consumer to have information at my disposal. And truthfully, I'm doing work for United Airlines, right? Mm-hmm. They don't have to do the work. They don't have to staff the work. What a novel concept that you can actually push information from the back office, right? And give your client empowerment, and at the same time reduce the amount of work that your team has to do. Wow.
How we were working together, Safwat and his team was already working with Case Status's implementation team. So the technical teams already knew each other, right? So then when I spoke with Paul and Matt, it was a much easier conversation. And we actually ended up, when we were talking about partnership, they're like, okay, we're going to talk about that, but we have a demo tomorrow. And this portion of Litify, we need your quick help with. Because their technical team already knew us, right, from the client side. Look, I know,
I learned about Case Status almost a couple years ago a little bit. One of our clients was in the middle of the implementation of Case Status, but I wasn't too involved in the implementation, so I didn't know exactly what it does. Initially, I thought it's just a texting platform, and then I was thinking, okay, there's other texting platform out there as well, right? What stands out Case Status as?
One of our veteran, solution sales professionals, Melissa Breen, approached me and said, I met these great folks at Micronetbd. They do amazing technical work, technical expertise with their Salesforce and Litify law firms, which is where we I know you do a lot more than that, but that's where we first came across it.
Working with some of the AI technology. So internally we have adopted AI in a large way. I think I don't know if I mentioned to you earlier, but
garbage in, garbage
out.
Sure. So today we are very lucky to have with us Paul. What's your last name, Paul?
Paul Bamert.
Paul Bamert from Case Status, one of our treasured partners with Micronetbd. Welcome. We are so happy to have you today to talk through the partnership that we've built so far and to learn more about how we can build more of a partnership going forward. So we have with us George and Shafet. Shafet is our legal expert here at Micronet. George is our founder. So I'll kick it off first with George. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how did we start to work with Case Status?
Sure. So we had multiple. So one day I was sitting in my office and Safwat was implementing one of the large personal injury firms, and his team. So he comes to me George, I ran into this great app. Mm-hmm. We should get to know, because we always try to have it like a basket of apps and solutions as we solution for our clients. So he came in and showed it to me. I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty good. At the same time, one of the client of mine, ours, in the mass store space is really, really good. We worked together for a while, so he became very close to us. So he called me George, you should partner with this Case Status. I'm like, it's funny, Safwat just told me the same thing. So, and so we then I told Safwat, go ahead and reach out. And then I think Paul and Matt, they were super friendly, and we felt like we had a lot of synergy in terms of how we were working together. Safwat and his team was already working with Case Status's implementation team. So the technical teams already knew each other, right? So then when I spoke with Paul and Matt, it was a much easier conversation. And we actually ended up, when we were talking about partnership, they're like, okay, we're going to talk about that, but we have a demo tomorrow. And this portion of Litify, we need your quick help with. Because their technical team already knew us, right, from the client side. Look, I know, what was his name?
Jose.
Jose was I know I worked with Micronet before, so I know they know how to do this. So we actually ended up doing a little work for Case Status while we were talking about the partnership. So it was a good introduction, and I just felt like energy was there. A lot of companies we work with, it's a commercial transaction, but we felt like Paul and Matt, they were actual good people that you can have a good interaction, and they had a similar culture like us. We like to take care of our clients and not nickel and dime them, and everything's not a change order, and we felt like the same culture was there, and so we just hit it off really well.
So, Paul, why don't you give your perspective about the beginning of that partnership?
Yeah, I remember many of those instances. So, mine came from a little bit different angle. One of our veteran, solution sales professionals, Melissa Breen, approached me and said, I met these great folks at Micronetbd. They do amazing technical work, technical expertise with their Salesforce and Litify, law firms, which is where we I know you do a lot more than that, but that's where we first came across it. And she said, we really need to consider a partnership as well for a lot of the same parallels. There was good energy there. So, kind of digging into it, when we look at some of our most successful and most tenured organizations, they come from that Litify, ecosystem. And to have, a partner there that understands the complexity, but the power of Salesforce platform and what these organizations who have typically reached scale and are trying to operate a little bit more like corporations, as opposed to bootstrapping, law firms. It was good to have that expertise. And you're right. I was laughing when you told the Jose story because although we have awesome development and awesome QA cycles, one of the things we haven't done yet as a company is our demo environments are
Nobody does.
They're still the same as our development environments. And so when dev changes passwords and whatnot and things go out of sync and you've got a demo the next day, sometimes it's a fire drill. Jose will tell you it happens probably more than it should. But yes, it was an awesome way to bring your expertise in. You guys got us out of a pinch and showed your value very quickly to a broader set of stakeholders at Case Status. But yeah, it's really cool because, a lot of the folks you mentioned, we came from software and we did a lot with nonprofits and what I would call mission-based organizations. And we've applied a lot of those same rules to how we work with law firms, because the law firms we work with are trying to help people, just like nonprofits are trying to help people. And so, to bring that expertise, we're working with a lot of the same firms as Micronet. So it was symbiotic and organic in many ways. And as we talk, the opportunities to do more and to go deeper with these firms and to help them solve real problems are presenting themselves every day.
Cool. So, Shafia, why don't you give your perspective on the importance of the Case Status, the Litify, and other technology and tools, but most importantly, Case Status to the law firms that we work with and how we help them to integrate its functionality to make their firms more efficient and more successful.
Thank you, Amanda. So I learned about Case Status almost like a couple years ago a little bit. So one of our clients was in the middle of the implementation of Case Status, but I wasn't like too involved in the implementation. So I didn't know like exactly what it does. Initially, I thought it's just a texting platform. And then I was thinking, okay, there's like other texting platform out there as well, right? What stands out Case Status as? So then when we were actually last year, when we were working together for one of our mutual clients, they were also going live in Litify. They were also vetting out different platforms. And they chose Case Status. They brought us into the demo meeting of Case Status. And as you mentioned, Melissa was there. I think one of the other member of Case Status was there. They gave a pretty good demo of what Case Status does. And that's when I learned that Case Status is not just a texting platform. It can do a lot more than just texting. You can set up automations. You can set up, send out messages on different stages to get feedbacks from the clients and everything. So I was really impressed at how they handled it. And they gave out like the whole project plan of how they're planning on implementing Case Status. That's one of the big things that the stakeholders wants is when they're trying to vet out the different partner, they're trying to see like the vendor they're collecting, whether they have a proper plan of how they want to do it. Is this their first rodeo, or they have a team of people who can handle these implementations? Because moving from a different system to Litify itself is a big headache for all the stakeholders, right? They're already making a lot of investments and putting a lot of time and effort and energy into like moving out of their different system to Litify. Mm-hmm. But from then on top of that, you're doing another implementation, which is Case Status. They want to have a partner who knows what they're doing and have a proper plan set up in there. So when they Case Status, they described everything. I was really impressed with that because they had like a proper plan laid out how they're going to do it. And then we found out, I realized that there is a lot of we can be mutually benefited because we have the same clientele, but we serve different purpose for our clients. So that's when like we try to set up a partnership with Case Status. That's when I told George about it. Then we should set up a partnership with them. And ever since we started working with them, their team members, Jeff Brutes, I work with them a lot on the technical side of it. Is really knowledgeable on how to implement Case Status. and understanding the requirements, implementing it, delivering on time, communicating properly. So he has been on top of this. And then we worked with him a lot of the other clients as well on implementing case status. And so far our experience with case status has been really great because they, as George mentioned, they really care about their clients. It's not just, okay, we close the deal, now we're just going to move on to another client. It's not like that. They make sure that the client have a smooth transition from whatever the system they're using to a case status.
Yep.
What have you been most impressed with as far as the Micronet team and how they have engaged with you guys through this partnership? And are there any ways that they've differentiated themselves from other partners? I've been super impressed with the Micronet team in general in terms of how they're able to weave the back end of all of these different systems together and pick out the most the best functionality of each one of the products that they, these law firms have made big investments in their technology, and it's really important. And for you, as one of those investments for those law firms, I think it's important that a partner can help highlight, right, those important functionalities that you guys are providing and draw out that adoption, right, from the law firm and help them to see that value. Can you speak more to the value that Micronet brings to the partnership and your other partners as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's a unique partnership. I think that stands out as the headline is creativity and being able to solve problems, but doing it in a scalable fashion, because I've seen a lot of custom solutions over the years, and they don't take into consideration a life cycle. I think Micronet takes that to heart, combining creativity to solution, but also making it have a sustainable life cycle that can be adapted over time. Obviously, Salesforce as a platform is very sophisticated and can go a lot of different ways. So to have that track record of building and treating it like OEM software is, I think, a big differentiator, because when you look at these firms, again, a lot of the conversations about technology with them, you can't really have, necessarily the specifics. How are we going to do it? It's more of what are we going to do and why are we going to do it? Are the questions that these law firm leaders are trying to answer. We come from our perspective with client engagement with, we can solve these problems. We want to talk about what those outcomes are going to be. And yeah, we'll get to the how we're going to do it and how we're going to adapt it over time. But that's not as important as what we're going to do and the impact that it's going to make. And so I see it very similarly with Micronet, and that's the part where we see a lot of really good pairing. Back to your other part of the question, most of our partnerships have traditionally been with the technology platforms like the Litifys, the case management systems, the practice management systems, and with a true implementer / interoperability service provider, and solutioning firm. Micronet does a lot of those different things. So it's a unique, intimate way to get more engaged with how those firms are again scaling to operate more like traditional businesses. So that's what stands out for me.
Yeah, I would agree that. And George, don't you think that's kind of your vision for how you go to business in the legal sector, from the perspective of looking at the holistic revenue operations of the firm? And, can you speak more to that?
Sure. So the way I look at it, like I think a lot of you know, I come from a sales and marketing operations at major companies. So one of the few things when we got into the legal vertical, so we looked at a few things. Okay, who are the end customers first, right? It's the person, the people who are going through the cases. So what's their experience like when they're onboarding when they're trying to pick a law firm, and as the case is progressing, right? So that's one side of the equation. The other side is, as a law firm, as a business, it's also a business, right? So who am I taking in as a client, right? How am I qualifying them? And what's the matrices of who's coming in and what percentage is getting converted? So that's one part. The other part is, the case progression, and at the end, you want to know your incoming customers and what your revenue is, right? So you have as a management, you need to be able to sort of like a similar sales and marketing operations that we do on the corporate side, where you have, even though it's a little bit different, but you still have a revenue you need to manage. You also need to know what source those revenues coming from, where do you want to spend your marketing dollars, and internally, how are you structuring your firm so you can scale up. And also, whenever a lot of firms will say, their customers, the actual people, it's hard for them to get information, or a lot of calls back and forth, and phones ringing all the time, and it's taking forever to get information. So how do you get that communication out so those people have a smooth experience, right? So when we architect a solution, we kind of take all of those into mind, and so it's not about the technology, it's about what problems you're trying to solve. And obviously we're experts in Salesforce and related technology. We can build anything your mind can imagine, but our focus is, in any vertical, we go into understanding all the stakeholders and how we can make experience better. So we start with interviewing each stakeholder, right? And we purposefully avoid management sometimes. Like a lot of times senior partners will have an idea, but they have no clue what's going on at the actual level where things get done. So we want to I don't even want you in the room. Let me talk to your employees, get the real picture, and then we'll talk to the management. So we spend a lot of time in discovery process to make sure we understand them. Then we propose, okay, I think this is the architecture that will work for you.
Shafiat, what have you observed that has come to life, because you're kind of on the front lines with these clients, George's vision coming to life and seeing, can you speak to a couple of those wins maybe that have involved case status at some of those firms?
Yeah, we have some of the firms who have, as a part of the Litify implementations, one of the vendors they have to choose is an SMS platform they have to choose. So there's like some other platforms out there. So obviously, as a part of the implementation, they have to choose it, they have to sign it up, and they go with them. But there are a lot of use case scenarios that we find out that those doesn't come out of the box with those SMS platform. Trying to reach out with the clients on a periodically, like the unresponsive clients, setting up drip campaigns and everything. Those kind of things you have to set up separately. So the law firm has to invest a lot of automations and development dollar on those SMS platforms to set it up. So with the case status, what I have noticed is that they have out of the box implementation and out of the box automation in place that you don't have to spend a lot of time and money and effort on it to set it up. So we do have some of the clients in our mind that we can definitely introduce case status to, so that can be benefited by the case status, because one of the things stands out with case status is it's an app. It's not just like a texting platform. It's an app where you can get all the statuses, all the updates of your case. You can upload documents from your mobile app. Yep. Those are some of the very features that are standing out compared to the other platform out there, because most of the times people they go to a doctor's visit, they have a lot of medical reports, right? It's the whole process of sending out an email to the right person, and it's putting into their case file and everything. But it's case status, they just take a picture of the medical records or whatever the documents they're collecting and send it to the firm easily. And firms can have a good picture of whatever the documents they're sending or they're receiving from the client. So case status solves a lot of the problems that in terms of the client communications that other SMS platform does not have the solutions to yet. But it also does a lot more than just solving the communication problem.
I think in short, the biggest differentiator is all the other apps that we work with, their text, it goes to your phone. You have 20 other text messages in your phone, right? Where's the other message? Same goes with email. You got to index and search. But then this is the only one where the client, the actual person going through the case, they have an app. All their messages are there. All their emails are there. They don't have to go look through their text messaging box. So when I first saw it, I was impressed because no one has done that, right? Because it takes a lot of creativity to come up with that idea. And there's a actual app exchange app they can go to their phone and download. And that's a great experience. And so all the other ones we implemented, put a lot of logic together to go back and forth texting, and comes back to Salesforce, yes, so farms can see it, but then the actual person, it probably is 20 messages behind, right? So this is the first one where I saw it really is built from the end customer in mind.
Well, let me inject, please, if you don't mind. Yeah. So I think those are all great observations from your points of view. I'll just add a couple of practical things, right? We're all consumers, and I would say that we've all got, one of these things.
Yeah.
Point to the camera. Cell phone, smartphone in our pocket. And we probably have apps like Uber. I mean, that's how I got, to my first meeting from Newark yesterday. And, Lyft and Uber never asked me, do you want to talk via text, email, or phone? They didn't. Yeah. They gave me an app. Yeah. They gave me an app that does everything I need it to do, from communications to tracking, seeing where my car is, to status, to notifications, which come through push notifications, which are more secure. All of that happens because they follow the consumer trends over the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
So when I think about SMS text, I think about phone, invented in 1876. I think about email, invented in the 70s, arguably. You know, you think about text, it became mainstream in the 90s. Every time we add, and this goes for law firms, it goes for any business, every time we add a communications method, fax, video conferencing, we just add to the pile of chaos. And if we leave it up to our clients to figure out how they want to communicate with us, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get chaos. Yeah. And so again, I appreciate the creativity, but I have to acknowledge that what's happening with our app is novel in the legal space. It's not novel in any other industry. It is the mainstream. And that's what I like to say that we have done is we're not forcing a staff view onto the client, which is what a lot of the SMS and the portals have done. Instead, we've taken a client-first approach. I would even say client whisperer approach and said, no, what does the client want? How do they engage with their favorite brands? And the answer is staring at everybody every day in their face, even the people that say nobody wants to download an app. Because that's the secret is we have a web portal, we have SMS text as a backstop, and we have an app. And the horse race is run every day, and the horse race is 80% app and 20% the other two. And
how often in a lifetime, I mean, for 40s, I've not had that many engagements with lawyers. Thank goodness. Okay.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
But if I'm dealing with something that I'm having to engage with a lawyer on, it's pretty important to me, and I'm going to want to be engaged and informed. Of course I'm going to be willing to download that app. And, because I'm going to be constantly wanting to check and update, and I'm going to want that easy access. So,
we're facing Helene right now is ravaging, Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, and I've got a flight out, and I'm not calling anybody. I'm not texting or email anybody. I'm getting push notification. I'm empowered as a consumer to have information at my disposal. And truthfully, I'm doing work for United Airlines, right? They don't have to do the work. They don't have to staff the work. What a novel concept that you can actually push information from the back office, right? And give your client empowerment, and at the same time reduce the amount of work that your team has to do. Wow.
Now, I will say, now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, you're calling me on the phone and you actually think I'm going to answer? But I guess, that's what you were saying earlier, like communication methods create more chaos.
More chaos.
But give me an app any day for something that's
and the stakes are high. I'll add one piece and then I'll shut down. But the stakes are high, right? You look at a lot of we talked about a mass tort firm, personal injury. I mean, you can even get into family, criminal, estate planning. During that period when you have a matter that's going, there's nothing more important than your case, and you don't have any background of what the process is. So, giving somebody that transparency and that visibility of what's going on, in the back office where the real work is, just makes all the difference in scalability. Again, I think one of the things that Micronet does a really good job of is you have to have an organized back office, because if you're creating a window to a disorganized back office, if United is disorganized and showing me there's disorganization, I'm not going to like that.
That's true.
So there is a prerequisite that your back office is a well-oiled machine, is automated, runs well for the business, and you're choosing which parts to show to the end user.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because the actual clients of the law firms, they're going to want to know, okay, you're taking care of their case, right? And things are progressing. You open the window, but so it kind of forces the firms there's more visibility, accountability. So firms do want to grow and to the next level. A lot of firms we work with, they started off at some level, they want to grow and expand, and I think adding case status is a natural next step, because that will force you to make sure that you're following a process. You can grow on individual talent up to stage maybe 2 of the company, but beyond when it's you and a few other people. But then if you want to go to the next stage of any business, right? That approach doesn't work. You got to have an organized system. Some firms will come to us, they're using nothing, right? Or some are using in-house system, but then now we're growing and we see that all this process is a mess. We need to clean up and move forward. And just like any other business, like when we were in the stage 1 of the company, right, or stage 2, like it will just work on our individual talents. But now we have to have process in place, otherwise things will break apart. So just like any other business. So I think case status for the legal sector is a great tool. And I would say not just legal. I know case status focused on legal. There are a lot of other sectors where I think a client-facing tool like that, where you need visibility into, is very, very useful. And I'm sure in the future, I don't know if you have any plans, but it could probably go beyond legal.
Yeah, we've had a few. I think there's two sides to that sword, right? So I'm a big believer in going deep and intimate in a particular vertical, and we have definitely seen the parallels into other industries. But for now, I think we'll evaluate them, but we are all in on the legal space, trying to, because it's really a sector that could use the focus. But yes, you're right. I mean, again, if you're building a house, if you are going through an insurance process, if you're doing financial planning, these are all unique, dark journeys that have blind spots for the consumer, and the professional does them every day and takes it for granted. And I have to say that we are mission oriented, and me as an individual, if we can empower the consumer, we can empower ourselves. Only good things come from that. So maybe we will get a wider approach at some point.
I want to also talk about the just looking forward in the future. Like, there is a big conference coming up, the LidyQuest, in the middle of October in LidyQuest in Tampa. I think Case Status also going to be there. Do you want to talk a little bit about your approach or your plan on how you're doing to be in the LidyQuest, your presence?
Yeah, I mean, Lidify is an awesome partner of ours, and we've got some really great customer family of firms that we work with. So more and more, LidyQuest has been both to talk to new firms, but also to see some of our existing customers and get some of that interaction. It is both user conference and sort of visionary in many ways. So we do have an events team. I'm happy to say that we're big enough to where I handle a little bit different part of marketing than the events. But we will be down there doing a little bit of the fun, maybe the happy hour type approaches. Have a little bit of time to meet and greet, and then we will also have some speaking sessions. Where I know we will be in kind of a lightning round where we get up, we do a quick demo that they've given some of the sponsors an opportunity to do. But really, where the best interactions come are the discovery, as you were talking about, George. Any business doing some discovery, understanding what's keeping them up at night, but doing some of that one-on-one discovery and demonstration of where we can apply that. That's where we see a lot of the value of that. And so that happens in parallel to a lot of the sessions, sort of either at the booth or in, parallel rooms. So we're looking forward to a lot of those engagements and those discussions. And yeah, I mean, that's anytime we can get in front of folks one-on-one, it's powerful.
Yeah, we're looking forward to meeting the Case Status team in there as well, and love to see what kind of demo they present. Because as I said, the way I learned about Case Status and got impressed was one of the demos that they presented, and how they're going to be implementing the whole process of it. So hopefully you're going to get a lot of tractions on those demos that you're going to be planning on setting up there. Yeah,
I think we will we'll have some good interactions and engagement there. We always do. And the other thing is trying to have some of the discussions about some of the other areas where we can help. So there is a lot of client data that we bring into the world, and we, again, bring it back into Lidify. It can tie back to the intake cycle, right, where your happy clients are helping your firm grow. And I know you guys do a lot with that as well, and attribution and showing the connected dots there. But the data is becoming more and more valuable in that we're able to put it to work for the firm. So I don't know if you guys are similar with the advent of AI and just getting some things to do the work for the law firm. I think that's the other thing I get excited about talking about, is where we've taken their own data and we said, hey, by the way, we're taking all of your previous messages, we're taking all of your previous message templates, and we're taking all of the information in your blogs and your website. And so when you get a message from your client, we've actually already given you a recommended response based on your brand, right? Putting them into the editor mode versus the writer or having to come up with white space response. It speeds things up. So that's an exciting part of, I think, what a lot of folks at LidyQuest are going to be talking about this year.
It is. And we have been an early adopter of AI just because of the technical background. We love working with some of the AI technology. So internally, we have adopted AI in a large way. I think I don't know if I mentioned to you earlier, but every single our client communication goes through AI. If we have like a 10 back and forth, it automatically gets summarized, gets into our Salesforce. We can go and see like the trends for the customer or prospects and scoring those communications. So we're doing a lot with AI. We're also working on some of the intelligent extraction for some of the medical documents. So personally, I love that space. So internally, we're using AI for everything, like to make ourselves faster and better and be able to handle what it used to take us 2 weeks to do. We can do it maybe in half of the time. So it's just...
Well, and I think, too, that AlitaQuest and demonstrations, again, for our audience out there that evaluates either Micronet or a case status or even Alitifying, where AI has gotten such callous. I mean, it's a term that people run away from. But when you see application and where the application takes place, it's pretty powerful. And I think everybody has those aha moments. So I encourage folks that listen to this is, don't fear the AI. Instead, ask to see where it is implemented and what it does. Because I guarantee you're going to see tedious work that you hate doing getting done faster. And it's happening where the work is already happening. If your provider is doing it right. And those two things, you can't beat that. I'll take that every day of the week.
Exactly. There's two things. If any farms, just free tidbit from an architect. So if anyone out there wants to, adopt AI, a couple of things I would say is data preparation is extremely important. So make sure your Salesforce or whatever system you're using, it's organized. You have your communications, your all the processes, everything defined, and that will help us, create your data model when you're ready to do that because it's as good as your data. And if your data is messy, it's going to, no matter what grade of AI model you have, it will struggle, right? So you'll have to spend a lot of time cleaning up the data. So I would say, having a clean, organized back office, like you were saying, that will help us give you a better AI experience because technology is technology, but it's a matter of how you take the data and prepare it, and it's not necessarily about the AI model. I mean, yes, you have to use the right AI model, but your own data and structure has to be set up where we can train AI model with your unique information.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Well, thank you again, Paul, for joining us today. I think that we're going to have to wrap up, but we hope we can have more of these conversations in the future about continuing to build a partnership to help more law firms scale their operations, but more importantly, to scale them efficiently and to scale for the future.
I would ask, it's your first time here. I know we have been working together for, a year and a half now? And what's your experience being in our headquarters? What do you think?
Well, I was going to say it. I'm glad you prompted me. So for those of you who haven't gotten to know Micronetbd, it is a very family culture. So creativity is not only my impression coming in here, but seeing it in action is pretty cool. And certainly all of the team members, hard at work and ever present. The red carpet has literally been rolled out for me, and if you apply that to all of your stakeholders, customers, partners, etc., employees, then I think that is a great testament to what you guys are all about. So I appreciate it. I don't get up this way too often, and I was able to have an excuse to get into this area. So I think everybody should take that sort of to heart of what you guys are all about, and that you live and breathe it every day.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much.